Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Franklin here, and I just wanted to give you guys my opinion on the new DLC, the Isle of Armor from Pokemon Sword and Shield. It just got released about 5 hours ago. I pretty much completed the story, I guess if you want to call it that, on here. Now I'm just trying to collect Diglets and all that. A couple things. When I make this opinion, this is my opinion. I'm just trying to state as much as I can with facts. The main question a lot of people are asking is it really worth buying the DLC? If you are just buying this without, if you're just buying this just to play the story, it's definitely not worth it. Simple as that. I think the story is too short for what it does in comparison to adding more content to the game. And it just makes it seem like this part of the story should have been as post story within Sword and Shield. So that's that. In regards to like extra features, like you get a brand new update with the bike. You can have these. It looks like a PS4, like Tron shit going on around here. Nice bike. You get a nice uniform, I guess. And interesting part, your first Pokemon in your party follows you now, which I think is really cool. Like this Eternatus that's following me around. That's actually pretty cool. I do have a problem with this because as you get too far away, they like stop. They kind of stop and then they teleport to you. So let me show you right now. So there you go. It just somehow magically showed up on this side, which that's a big no-no for me. I think Let's Go pretty much did a lot better than this, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that Let's Go did better than that. um, anyways, the Pokemon returning, we got about a pretty good chunk of Pokemon that came back. The majority of them were Generation 1 Pokemon, and I am the way the environment is set up. So as I'm going through around the environment, let me bike more this way so you can guys see more. As I'm making my way throughout the different wild area parts, I like the environment because it seems way more natural to see these Pokemon out and about. And obviously, we do see some Galarian Pokemon, so that's whatever. But then you start seeing the Talonflame family. So you start seeing Pokemon that are more so inclined to their natural habitat, and it's pretty cool. I guess I like the environment of this wild area more than the previous wild area that we've had or currently have because one, the weather here isn't chaotic. Like if I'm stepping into another, look, there goes the Pokemon that came back. Um, the weather in this area isn't as chaotic as it was for the wild area in in Galar, the main Galar land, in the mainland of Galar, I should say. So I think this is more scenic, was what I'm trying to say. And because there's different portions of wild area, like a forest, there's a desert area. I think it's pretty cool. So I'll give props to Game Freak for that. As for the new Pokemon that were introduced, there were only three Pokemon introduced. One of them I have in my party, or technically it was two of them because it evolved. It's Urshifu and Kubfu. Um, this Pokemon, I prefer the water type because Surging Strikes is, if this is used correctly, this can be broken. I don't expect it to get like auto banned. I don't think so. It might take time. I think it's still an okay Pokemon. I kind of consider it like a bulkier Poliwrath with a lot more power because it is water and fighting. Um, as for a Kubfu, you get to use it during after doing these trials, part of the story mode, and you get to evolve it after you complete essentially story mode of the DLC. And I must say, if your Kubfu is level 70 or above, you'll be doing pretty well. It's not that hard of a challenge, which I kind of expected. And to me, it seems that the challenge was not as great as I expected it to be, simply because you have to face 5 trainers in order to evolve your Kubfu, but those trainer Pokemon are just garbage. Like really, I'm not gonna really spoil into what they are, but I was kind of disappointed in that. I do as someone who likes Pokemon, I expect a challenge, especially for an older audience who owns the Switch, who's been playing this game since like Generation 2, Generation 1, I do expect a lot more of a challenge. And I think that kind of failed up to that, especially when you have access to the EXP candy. And your Cub Fu starts out at level 10, so you have to actually grind if you don't have the candies. So that's already like a that's already kind of a you know, kind of a setback in regards to difficulty. Um, Quality of life. Now, a lot of things have changed with the quality of life that we were didn't even know about. And speaking of which, before I talk about it, you gotta catch 100. You have to collect 151 Diglett throughout the entire wild area, which I guess it's okay. A little side quest, not too bad. It is kind of tedious, but um, I kind of like that. Make us be more involved with that wild area. Let us interact more, you know. And I guess this is a little touching step to that, or it's a touching stone for that. Now let's go into the main area, which obviously everyone is talking about, and that is the Master Dojo. So, in regards to the quality of life, I think if you are gonna buy this game to improve your quality of life with Pokemon, like if you're a competitive battler, you play VGC or you play singles, you're in tournaments, you're getting paid to win in tournaments, absolutely this DL is worth it. I mean, sorry, I said the wrong thing. DLC is worth it. You go through here, you start noticing that you can actually give Gigantamax Pokemon their version that they need. So obviously, I think that it's worth it. You have to make this soup, and you got to give it to these Pokemon, and it tells you, you know, the Pokemon that can Gigantamax. So that's pretty cool. That means all the Pokemon that you bred that have Gigantamax capabilities can finally learn how their Gigantamax forms, which is awesome. Next up, kind of a setback. If you have not beaten Post Story, which I already did, but if you did not beat Post Story, there's a part of the DLC story that's locked behind Hop. So you have to beat Hop in the Post Story as the final match, and then he'll come over here. I noticed a lot of YouTube streamers or Twitch streamers, they were kind of locked behind that, and they have to complete story mode, which that story mode is kind of Post Story and Sword and Shield's bullshit, by the way, so it's whatever. Next up, hopefully you saved up a lot of watts, because as you get watts from raid battles and all that, there is a lady here. Her name is Honey, which is very funny because Mustard is the Master Dojo owner. And you need to have, it looks like from here, it looks like I need to have 800,000 watts. Basically, it improves the dojo. You get a nice Rotom, I guess the PC, where you can store your Pokemon, so you don't have to go back and forth. But it doesn't really matter because, you know, you have the R function. You get to, really cool here, you get to buy vitamins in bulk, which I think it's pretty cool, and they're cheaper this way, I believe. So I think that's pretty cool. Another thing is this very interesting challenge here, which is the restricted sparring, which is you get after the story of DLC. And basically you are using, it's 3v3, but you are being challenged based on each typing. So if you choose Psychic, for example, you run a team of 3 Psychic Pokemon and you fight 5 trainers in a row. There's 2 instances where you can heal your Pokemon and just win, which I think is pretty cool. That's something I'll probably look into doing very soon. Next up, you get a Stylist. They can restore your Pokemon. They can change your outfit, hair and makeup. You get some new cool stuff, so I think it's pretty cool. One of them, like I'm wearing the Leon shirt, which I think is pretty gnarly. Next up is the Cramoratic. This allows you to combine items in order for you to get special items. Like, for example, if you have 4 rare candies, they turn into ability capsule. I think that's useful. And you can get apricot items in the different specific trees in the wild area, and that can get you the apricorn balls, or most of you guys know as Kurt balls. You can challenge, I guess, Mustard. Pretty cool. I really like this character in DLC. I wish more characters were like this in Galar, or pretty much the entirety of, I guess, the second portion of Pokemon's existence, like 6th through 8th. This is one of the, I think, one of the cooler characters that has been developed and fleshed out properly. Rival, didn't like her. I think she was kind of annoying because I put her down too much. So now, I will say this. The biggest, actually no, one more thing. This guy here, if you get some Armorite Orb, he lets you teach you. Lets you teach a Pokemon specific moves, and these moves are they're very good, and they're actually might be meta changing as well. For example, um, Steel Roller destroys the terrain, um, and it's just crazy. Misty Explosion. This is Misty Terrain. Um, it's just crazy. These are attacks like Poltergeist attacks with Tron's item. That's crazy. Meteor Beam is 2-turn attack. Yeah, yeah. Expanding Force, which is for psychics, does pretty well. Scorching Sands is a ground type Scald, which is pretty good, and some Pokemon like Charizard can learn this, which is crazy. Corrosive Gas melts away items. That's kind of big. That's actually pretty cool. You can neglect a lot of Pokemon's items. That's pretty interesting. Coaching, I think this is for doubles. Triple Axle is a 3 kicks, and it does powerful, and that's pretty cool. Flip Turn is a physical type water U-turn, which is awesome. We had terrain pulse changes based on the terrain. I think this might be good in conjunction to it's kind of like Weather Ball, only this time it's for you know, for terrain. And yeah, there's a also grass type priority move that can be useful in, it can only be useful in grassy terrain. That's pretty cool for Rillaboom. That will make Rillaboom a lot much harder to deal with. But now I'm gonna talk about the one thing that disappointed me the most. It's not the story. I think the story was okay. I don't really care about playing story sometimes. I did like the idea of Pokemon following me, but it's not what I expected it to be. Especially since Let's Go came out 2 years ago, almost, not almost 2 years ago, about a year ago. But the biggest problem that I have with this game, the DLC in particular, is look at those Chanseys, fat ass Chanseys. The biggest problem I've had is level scaling. So get this. I know IGN, they made a review article about, level scaling, and they almost confirmed like level scaling. I thought when I pulled up with 6 level 100 Pokemon, I thought the NPCs and the Pokemon I find in the wild area were going to be level 100. But it turns out, check my team out, alright? So I have Eternatus and Urshifu. I didn't use these during story. I only used like my level 100s from my PC, a full Galarian level 100 team. So check this out. I go through the wild area, and let's go find a Pokemon you think that should be level 100, right? And if you guys can see over in the horizon, there is a Wailord over there. That Wailord is level 80 when you first encounter it. And I'm thinking, wow, that means all the Pokemon in the wild area should be level 80. But it turns out, if I go find, let's get that Chansey real quick. So if I go find this Chansey, right? This Chansey, who's its first time appearing in Sword and Shield, is, you guessed it, it's not 80, it's level 60. And I think that's the biggest disappointment. I felt like if my team of level 100 Pokemon is scaling to the world, I thought my opposing Pokemon, the wild Pokemon, the NPCs I battle, outside of Mustard and a couple, of course, because they go beyond level 60. I'm not going to spoil how much. Mustard particularly goes up by a lot for the final time you battle him. It's level 60. Like, what the hell? You cannot... I think this might be IGN's fault for even saying that kind of bullshit, because, I mean, IGN's not a good reviewing company to begin with. Because, it's IGN. Like, come on. I don't really give them a lot of credibility. They shouldn't. But level scaling doesn't really work for people who already have 10, 20 boxes of battle-ready level 100 Pokemon. I'm not going to pull up with a level 1 hidden ability starter Pokemon just because I want to start fresh. That's not No, because the thing is, so then what? I have to just play the DLC with just, I wouldn't say shit Pokemon, but do I really want to do do I really want to do the DLC with low level Pokemon, and then eventually you're not gonna be able to use your other Pokemon because you need to use Kubfu in the towers on its own. So that negates that option. So if all of this wild area was scaled up to like 90 or level 100, I think that would have made the DLC experience for me and maybe for a lot of people a lot better. So that's my opinion on the DLC. I think that was my biggest gripe. In terms of the overworld, it looks kind of nice, a lot more fleshed out. And the environment looks a lot much better. But man, in terms of people who are trying to get, a challenge out of this, they didn't really get much of a challenge. Even if I just ran the entire DLC with Kubfu and eventually Urshifu, it just wasn't much of the challenge that I expected based on what IGN and based on what hints from the Nintendo developers or Pokemon developers said. So I think that is a little BS right there. Now, if you're interested in what rating I'm gonna get, what rating this deserves, I say I would give this probably a 6, because the life of quality does improve drastically in regards to your Gigantamax Pokemon. And there's actually an NPC here that lets you reset all of your EVs of a Pokemon, which I think that's pretty cool because that means you don't have to waste your berries anymore. The move tutors will shake up the meta a little bit, especially for doubles. And terrain abusers will finally get some new tools that they can just bombard everyone with. There are little cool features here and there, like the bike, for example, and nice little design. That looks kind of cool. But I think this is a 6 out of 10. Personally, for me, if it wasn't for the changes of quality of life, the improvements that they did, this probably would have gone a 3 out of 10 for me for the DLC, because there is a lackluster option of a challenge, and yes, there is a restrictive battles or sparring they call it here, but I think that should have been the difficulty of this DLC, where Pokemon are all level 50, your Pokemon are all level 50, or all level 100 Pokemon, and your Pokemon level 100, and that's it. But if you're just buying this for the story, it's not worth it. I wouldn't consider this technically a paywall because you can get all this stuff for free. Like the Pokemon that come back are free because they're added into home. But if you need competitive moves and all that stuff, you're going to have to trade your Pokemon. Or you're just going to have to K-Hex your way in it, which technically it's broken right now. But anyways, that's my review of the DLC. I wouldn't say disappointed because I did see the disappointment coming at one point. Particularly, how people view Pokemon nowadays, the way it has been, going these past couple of years. But like I said, I would give it a 6 out of 10. If it wasn't, the only positives about this DLC are, I guess, the return of the Pokemon and the quality of life changes or improvements. Tiny features like Pokemon walking, but they kind of lackluster in what they are supposed to do. In regards to whether it's worth it to buy it, I would say if you are a competitive battler, you play VGC, or you play singles, you play in tournaments, yes, I recommend getting this. If you are just doing it for the story, it's not worth it. If you're just doing this for your Pokemon to come back and nothing else in the Isle Armor, it's not worth it because, home is there and you can get your Pokemon back in. So that's pretty much my opinion. A little bit disappointed. There was not a lot of hype, but there was some bit of hype with the level scale, but ultimately that was the biggest disappointment in the DLC, which I expected a bigger challenge. But anyways, guys, this is your boy Franklin. I will be uploading Wi-Fi battles soon. Maybe showcasing Urshifu and maybe the other Pokemon that got introduced back into the game. Yeah, hope to see you guys soon.